So, one of the news stories recently that I kind of hope people keep talking about is the story about the 11 missing scientists. They've either, vanished or have passed kind of suddenly. And what kind of brought my attention to this news story was the latest case. So, the 11th case of this with Amy Eskridge. And the only reason this kind of captured my attention is because she was from where I grew up, Huntsville, Alabama. And so I kind of went to watch her talk. There's a video out there with her about 2 years prior to her death, talking about like her life and her situation and kind of what sort of pressure she was under and everything that was going on. And she very much comes across as someone under a lot of stress. So I kind of want to talk about this because I grew up in that same area. So I at least want to validate some of the things she says in the video, like for whatever it's worth coming from me. So Huntsville is a weird town. It is grown up around Redstone Arsenal. NASA is a huge presence on Redstone Arsenal. Many people work for NASA or contractors that work with NASA in the town. And so you do have a very high population of incredibly intelligent folks from all over the world. And so that's why it's unusual, particularly in Alabama. It's unusual as a location. So you might imagine it becomes pretty competitive, or can be pretty competitive there. I remember just a lot of competitiveness growing up there. But you have these really highly intelligent, very ambitious people and their children all in kind of one spot. And a lot of people there that are, from everywhere, basically. So, as she's kind of describing her experience living in Huntsville, like that aspect of her discussion, like that is sort of just a natural part of that location. So at least part of what she's talking about, where it sounds like she's feeling a lot of pressure from that sort of competitive nature of the area, like that's pretty valid. Okay. So there is a natural inherent sort of stress that comes with, I think, growing up there, as well as the kind of work she was in. Now, specifically in Huntsville, NASA is focused on propulsion. So they're focused on, the rocket engines for the most part. My own father did that kind of work. He would kind of take us out to watch the rocket engines being tested as like a little treat sometimes. And, everything would shake. And it was pretty cool to watch, actually, and experience. And so as part of that, I guess she and her father had started like an organization to try to like kind of push science further. And so they were looking into anti-gravity propulsion, which, would be amazing, but definitely is fringe science. So she kind of claims in the video that they were fairly close, or that they had a successful prototype or something along those lines. She also talks about, she thinks people are kind of talking to her or trying to get more information about what it is she's doing, the research she's doing. That she notes that there are a lot of people from all over the place that live there, and there are, that she is concerned that they're foreign agents in the video. Also, she talks about, she believes that people have broken into her home and kind of rifled through her things. And she believes she's been roofied before to try to get information out of her, or to like do something, I guess, with her. She mentions going to the bars a whole lot there. I left as a teen, so I know nothing about the nightlife, okay? I haven't lived there in a long, long time. So I don't know how much of all of that is legitimate in what she's saying, right? And how much of that is kind of the buildup of pressure over time with just the location and the kind of work she's doing. Like I mentioned, my own dad, I remember him working just hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours to, to prepare for a mission or a launch. Like, it would get pretty intense. So, I don't say this to like cast doubt that like, she on any of her story. I have no idea. I don't know how much of that is true or not true. I don't think there's any way for me personally to know. But I do think it's interesting what happened, and that unfortunately she's no longer with us. And so I want people to kind of keep talking about this story because I am interested in what's happening overall. Whether it be, some kind of conspiracy or foreign adversary or something like that, like she's hinting at in her video, or it just gets to sort of the nitty gritty of the kinds of pressures our industries put on some of the most brilliant people out there. That maybe that's something that needs to change. I don't know. I just I like that it's being talked about. I think it's something that needs to continue to be talked about. And I do hope, they figure out kind of what's going on with these cases and that something comes to light from it. That's it.